Welcome to the video. This is Grits and Gravy, and this actually isn't a tutorial but more of a behind the scenes look at my mixing and mastering process. I wanted to do this video because a lot has changed in my workflow and just the way that I mix and master beats. So what I want to do in this video is actually run through this as fast as possible, and it's not going to be a how-to video but more just a look at how I go about mixing and mastering a beat and getting it ready to upload and to sell and whatnot. So before I play the beat, I want to explain real quick what's going on. So everything is color coded. The brown is basically the kick and the bass, and there's some other stuff going on that I'll get to in a second. The blue is percussion, so like hi-hats and snares. The green is synths, and the red right here is just like FX sounds and like stuff in the background, and also one shots, like one shot sounds. I put those in there as well. And then my voice tag, and then this blank, I just put this here just so I quickly can know where I'm at. It really doesn't serve a purpose other than just a placeholder. And this actually right here is like mastering. All of this right here starting from EQ in is mastering, and I'll get to that in a second. So now let me play the beat, and then I'll run through the session and show you what everything does. Okay, so I just wanted to play it so you get an idea what the beat sounds like. So I'm going to try and run through this as quick as possible. So let me switch to the track view. Okay, so we got a kick drum right here. So the kick drum has just a stock down mix, and I got some EQ going on. This actually a lot of my beats have two kicks. So this is a kick, and this is also a kick with some EQ on it. And I'm not really going to run through why I chose to EQ things a certain way, but more so just what's included in the track. And a compressor. This right here is a duplicate. So what happens here is this is just a copy. This one right here is a copy of the kick drum, and it's just sidechain compression telling the sub to duck out of the way basically. And that's right here. So this sidechain right here, and so we got down mix, we got EQ on the sub, then we got this fuzz, free fuzz. This is a free plugin. So mainly I use stock plugins and free plugins, and it's also easier to send to an artist. And if I have a free plugin, I'll tell them, hey, just download it and put it in the session so that it'll show up when they're working on the beat and recording to the beat. So okay, so now I have a sub mix. So both kicks and the sub go to the sub mix, and from the sub mix there's parallel compression. So there's a submix and a parallel compression going to the D bus, which stands for drum bus. And then I have some saturation, and then this right here is a trigger, and this is just a percussion trigger. So all that is just more side chain. So like on snare rolls and stuff like that, where the percussion takes up a lot of just energy and space, so then it'll make the drum bus basically duck out of the way. So moving to the percussion section, we got hats, open hat crash, fat snare, snare, and another snare. So usually I just name them just so I know what it is. Nothing really special about how I choose names. So we got some EQ on the percussion, and then we have saturation on the percussion, and then we have some light EQ on the percussion bus, just to help everything glue together a little bit. So then moving to the synths. Now the interesting thing about the synths is I have 2 buses for the synths. The reason is I like to widen the stereo field with the Mod Delay 3, and it's just set at 25 milliseconds. Sometimes I tone it down to about 20. It just depends on the sounds that are in the beat. And another reason why I split them up is because like sounds like the brass horns, or like sounds that are heavy in the low frequency range, I don't want spread out through the track. So that's why I separate them. So let's see here. So this one goes to the synth bus low. I just call it low and high. So the lows don't get spread, and the highs get spread with the Mod Delay 3. So the brass is going to the low, and everything else is going to the high. And then I have some slight EQ on the synths, and then I have the Klanghelm compressor, just doing a little bit of compression just to help everything sit down in the mix. And now moving to the FX tracks, these are pretty simple. Here's got some cuts and a boost on the hay, and then this is just that power rise FX noise that everybody uses. And then this is my voice tag, and then the FX bus, and I'm just cutting everything in the low end. Then I have a reverb, so you can see throughout the track I send certain things to the reverb, and I just have one set up. And then the bounce bus, so this right here I forgot to mention, I just labeled it bass rider. So what this is let me see, right here I sent the subwoofer to the entire mix. Now what happens here is it lightly rides the beat. So as it rides the beat, it's musical. It's compression, but it's musical. So it's not just compressing the whole track whenever peaks hit the compressor, but this is the bass compressing the beat. Now we're getting into the mastering part, and remember I said this is just blank, and it says right here begin mastering. So a lot of times when I send this to our artists, they don't know what's going on and what starts and what ends where, so that's why I have that there. Okay, so now we have a trim plug-in, and that's just to get the beat. I like to start at -6, so if it's not at -6, then I'll bring it up to -6. And we got some EQ coming in. This right here is mid-side processing. So from here to here basically is all dealing with the mids and the sides. So these yellow ones right here are the ones that I can put effects on, and as you can see I don't do anything to the mids typically, but the sides I'm getting rid of some some low energy information that I don't need, and also a cut right here around 500 hertz. And so this is where it spits it back out. So it basically takes it apart to where I can process individually the mids and the sides, and then it spits it back out right here. And then I have just a slight 0.7, just adding some brightness to the entire track. And this trim right here gets everything ready for the limiter. So last I have the clip shifter set to -9.4, and I have 3 Maxims plugins set up, and the reason why is I don't want more than about 2 decibels of attenuation, because after that it starts to introduce a lot of noise and distortion. So I split them up, and this one just so happens to be set at -11, and I see about 2 dB of attenuation. So on to the next one. This one's at -1.7, and this one's at -1.7. I usually keep the last 2 the same no matter what it is, so it could range from like -1.5 to -2, just depending on the sound. And that pretty much does it. So thanks for checking out this video on how I set up my sessions. And this wasn't a tutorial, but more just a behind the scenes look at how I set everything up. Feel free to ask your questions down below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. All right, peace.